So the Samsung Galaxy S21, S21 Plus, and the Galaxy S21 Ultra are coming out here very soon. They're going to be announced, but we kind of know everything about them. I've already talked about this in a previous video, and I also talked about how kind of underwhelming it is. As a matter of fact, interestingly, even some of the Samsung diehards are not terribly excited about the Galaxy S21 series of phones. And I kind of don't blame them. Is it because everything is leaked? That might have something to do with it. Or it might be because the flagship of Samsung, the one that starts off the year, the Samsung Galaxy S21, is going to be the king of compromise. They're going to compromise on a lot of things. Some of those things you guys are going to be really upset about if you don't already know about it. And some maybe don't really make that much of a difference. However, I'm going to talk about all of them right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back. And for all you new people, welcome. My name's Travis and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. If that sounds like fun to you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Anything I talk about will be in the description below, but for now, let's just get into the video. Now, the S21 series of phones should be pretty exciting to people who are Samsung fans or even Android fans in general, because it's going to be one of the first major phones, at least worldwide, that with the new Snapdragon 888 processor, the fast, amazing processor that everyone's super excited about. Yip-de-doo. But for me, processor improvements at this point aren't that big of a deal. As I've already shown in a previous video, you pretty much can take one of these Android phones and completely replace a desktop. I'll leave a link for that video in the description below and in the end screen, because it's pretty amazing what you can do with a 2-year-old flagship. Like, replace your desktop PC. We don't really need a lot more processing power in our phones, to be quite frank. So that's not going to be enough. For me, I think it's all about software and the improvements that you will see from those. There's a new video by Jimmy is Promo, friend of the channel. Maybe I'll leave a link for that in the description as well, where he shows a lot of the new software features, and that's cool, that's great. You're gonna enjoy some of those. But there's so many compromises on the base model S21 and S21 Plus that I mean, it's almost like go for the Ultra or nothing at all. So for most of the things I'm gonna talk about, I'm really talking about the base S21 and maybe a little bit of the S21 Plus. The Ultra should have kind of a non-compromise-ish experience. And by the way, like, that's fine. I know a lot of you that are watching these videos are gonna buy the Ultra if you're gonna buy any of them at all. And hey, tell me in the comments below if that's something that you're going to do. Are you buying the Ultra or the S21 or the S21 Plus? Let me know below. And then hit the subscribe button, because when it comes out, I'm gonna talk about all the features that this thing has. But what's interesting is the things that they're actually not going to let you have from the S20 to the S21. There's all types of compromises. Let's start now. Let's start with the Glastic back. Now, this is actually a material that they use in a lot of their other phones. That's a plastic that feels like glass. I actually have no problem with this in general, because the S20 FE that I reviewed last year, I'll leave a link for that, is pretty damn amazing. It feels really good. It's actually really durable, and I actually don't have a problem with that. Wireless charging works through it, so it's not a big deal. But this is your flagship, and I really feel like when you start using plastic parts on a flagship, it's not a flagship. And maybe we're getting to the point where Samsung only considers the S21 Ultra to be the actual flagship and the others to be the smaller brothers. I guess we'll have to see how they market that. Now, one of the things that's gaining a lot of traction online is the resolution of the screen. For the first time since somewhere around 2014, their major flagship S21 will have a less than 1440p screen. A what? Yes, that's right. They're gonna have a lower resolution screen on their flagship phone. Now, again, it's not like they don't have phones like this with a lower resolution. They've done this, I think, on the Note series, not the Ultra, but like the Note. And to be honest, like, most of the time when you buy any type of flagship from Samsung, while it does have a 1440p screen, the default resolution is actually at the 1080p plus. So for the most part, most people, that's been their experience. They don't know to dig into the settings and change the resolution. And on a screen this size, you're probably not going to see the difference. However, once again, let me point out, this is supposed to be a flagship. So what's the deal? So yeah, you're getting 120 hertz like last year, at the same resolution as last year. So we took a year to not go anywhere unless you get the Ultra. Now there's rumors that there's no SD card slot. This is a kick in the nuts, because let me tell you something, with only coming with 128 gigs of storage, this is ridiculous. The OnePlus 7 Pro from a couple of years ago, well, still one of my favorite Android phones, had 256 gigs for $750. No SD card slot almost goes against some of the things Samsung has been using as kind of their selling points for a long time. Now, as a matter of fact, they've actually made fun of other manufacturers for things that are missing from their phones, kind of like a power adapter and headphones, which I guess they're not going to include with these either. I'm sure you've heard this. No power adapter, no headphones in the boxes with the S21, probably S21 Plus as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I said this when Apple did it. I said when Apple does something, everyone else follows. And literally, that's what's happened. You just have to look at Apple. If they do it, everyone else is going to do it. Sorry. Less discussed is the smaller sensor on the telephoto lens. Now, this is probably not going to be a big deal for most of you. However, any of you that might use a telephoto lens in low light might see a degradation in pictures. Now, is this actually going to be a thing? I don't know. Maybe they're using a smaller sensor because they can make up for it in software somewhere. We don't really know, and we'll see when they show us examples, actually more so when we get reviews from tech reviewers. I think that's when we're really going to learn a lot. But yet again, something else that's a downgrade from a year ago. Like, why is this happening? And RAM. 8 gigs of RAM versus the 12 gigs of last year. Now, I've said for a long time, you don't need a lot of RAM on a smartphone, and I still kind of stand by that. A lot of people's PCs have 8 gigs of RAM running Windows 10, so you think it's not a big deal. But once again, it was 12 gigs last year. Why are we moving backwards? We're compromising yet again. Like, what is happening? Now, the 128 gigs of storage is kind of significant in a couple of ways. Number one, not just because they haven't raised it, but because for the first time in a long time, Apple has actually caught up with their base storage against the Samsung phone. Like, that doesn't happen. Apple has always been behind in their base storage of their phones versus the base storage of an Android phone. They've always been behind. Like, they were at 32 for a long time, 16 before that, 64 when everyone else was at 128. And now this year, the base storage of a Pro is 128 gigs. And it looks like it's the same for Samsung. So we're getting a lot of different just cutbacks from Samsung. But for what? My hope is they've learned their lesson from last year, and for all of this, we will see a cut in price. That would make it worthwhile. Because at the end of the day, your eyes will adjust to the lower resolution. Your telephoto lens will probably not get used as much as it usually is. You'll learn how to use 128 gigs of storage rather than 2 terabytes with an SD card built into it. Like, all of these things that they are absolutely like bringing back and not progressing forward on are probably not going to be that big of a deal. And if you save money, that might actually be worth it. But if Samsung comes out and tries to charge the same or more than last year, I'm out. And you should be too. You cannot, for a single second, think this is okay. If Samsung allows themselves to cut back and charge the same or more, you need to show your outrage with your wallets. And I'd like to mention that I'm going to go back and do a couple more videos about Amazon Renewed. If you haven't seen some of those, I'll leave a link in the description, where I go and buy previous flagships from a year or two ago at a significantly less expensive price. And to be honest, that might be a better deal than the S21 this year. So you might want to check some of those videos out. Tell me in the comments below, are you going to buy a Galaxy S21, S21 Plus, or S21 Ultra this year? If so, let me know why. If not, that's fine. And like I said, if you really want to take one of your Android phones and make it into a PC, I got a video right here. Some other cool stuff right here. I'll see you next time. Peace and love.